Yeah, so I call the third Wayne County Commission Youth Council meeting to order. Should we go ahead with roll call?
The next item on the agenda is the invocation. You don't have the agenda in front of you?
I do.
Okay, yep, just follow that and yep.
Okay. So what should I say for the invocation?
Yep. The chaplain, right? We have a chaplain now, which is great. Right. So yeah. You can call on the chaplain to have the opening or give the opening invocation.
Yeah. Chaplain Francisco, go ahead and take over.
Okay, thank you so much. Can I just start? Am I gonna go start? Just go, right?
Go right ahead. Yes.
Okay. So, God our Father, you see your children growing up in an unsteady and confusing world. Please show them that your ways give more life than the ways of the world, and that following you is better than chasing after selfish goals. Help them to take failure not as a measure of their worth, but as a chance for a new start. Give them strength to hold their faith in you and to keep alive their joy in your creation. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you. Yes, great prayer. We can go ahead with roll call now.
So since we have a clerk, you could say, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Yep, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
And is that?
Yep, I'm here, sorry. We're moving on to item B, roll call. And do you want me to call the roll, Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Yes, if you can.
Okay. Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Is Jenna here?
Yeah.
Paris? Thomas?
Present.
Naeem? Chair Kirthana?
Here.
Ariana?
Here.
Shakari?
Here.
Francisco?
Here.
Kavya?
Here.
Gabrielle?
Here.
Hannah?
Here.
Munib? Zion?
Here.
Madison? Saleya? Riley?
Here.
Diera?
Here.
McKenna?
Present.
Jaden?
Present.
You do have a quorum.
And you can thank the clerk for reading.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for going over the roll call. Yep. Can we move on, Commissioner McCormick?
Yeah. You can just say next item for the clerk.
So next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 11th meeting. So if there is a motion to, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 11th meeting.
Great, perfect. And then is there a
support?
Yep, support.
I support.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda.
So you say it's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Yep. So the meeting minutes from the December 11th meeting have been moved and supported. So does everyone support meeting minutes?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And then you say any opposed?
Any opposed?
And then motion passed.
Yep, motion passed. All right.
And then for the Madam Clerk, next item.
So next item on the agenda is the.
You can just ask the clerk to move to the next item. So you just say,
Oh, okay.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, next item.
We're moving on to item D, MSU speaker Lori Rivetto on a time management lesson.
Now, Carthana, you can welcome the speaker.
Yeah, so everyone please give a warm welcome to Miss Lori Rivetto. She's going to be going over time management.
Thank you so much for the welcome. I so appreciate it. I'm excited to be here with all of you. So as was shared, my name is Lori Rivetto. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm an extension educator with MSU Extension. So I get the privilege of being able to work with our 4-H youth development program. So have any of you heard of 4-H before? You can use the reactions if you want to raise your hand or something. No one's heard of 4-H? Okay, so 4-H.
And I'm sorry, you know what, Lori, I am so sorry. Before you go on, because I have to leave early,
Okay.
I just wanted to go over the couple
That's
of
right,
events.
you did.
Yeah, and I just totally forgot until I was just reminded.
Sounds good. Hope you muted yourself.
Commissioner, you're muted.
All right, there. Okay. Did you, Nairobi, do you have the tentative schedule?
Yes, I'm trying to get it on
To share
device I'm on. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Gagnique, is she able to? I'm sorry, is Gagnique the clerk? Who's the clerk?
It's Gagnique, Commissioner.
Oh.
And yeah, Nairobi should be able to share her screen.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if.
Okay, and also, when Lori begins her presentation, is Lori able to share her screen? She has a presentation she wanted to share.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so share my screen and see if you guys can see.
Okay, and while you're doing that, just to let you know that we wanted to have a couple of different activities that's not on here as well. And you guys can talk about whether that's something you want to do. A skating party, just we'll pick a day and we can all meet at the skating rink. And we're thinking somewhere in Canton for that. And so now, since the tentative schedule is up, I just want to go over a couple of things that we have coming up. In February, we were looking at having our meeting on Sunday, the 27th. So I really want you to look at your schedule and let your parents know. We'll have our meeting at the Detroit Historical Museum. That is again, February 27th. At that time, we should have your shirts in, your polo shirts. And we will tentatively have the prosecutor, Kim Worthy, there to talk about gun violence because your resolution deals with gun violence. In March, we will have our meeting virtually, and we're going to have Verizon Wireless to provide a presentation about 5G, what it means, and we're going to do a tour of the California Verizon facility. And we'll also have a short, no more than 20-30 minutes presentation from MSU Extension on professionalism. And in April, either April 12th or 21st, we want to actually present that resolution that we talked to, or you talked to, gun violence in schools. Today, you'll talk, after all of our speakers are done, you'll talk briefly about what direction you want to move in that, and Karthana will help you in running or deciding who does what, and maybe breaking you up into committees. And one of the things we wanted to talk about is that the meeting in April will be in person. It will be in the commission chambers. So we wanted to see which date is best for you guys. We were hoping that it was during spring break, but I know with all of the different school districts and schools that you all attend, we may not hit that target for all of you. But what we were going to look at is the majority, either the 12th or the 21st, and look at who the most members that can attend in April, and that's what we'll go with. April 23rd or the 30th, we wanted to have a community service project, which I believe that, we want a clean community. And so we'll do some type of cleanup activity in Wayne County. We're looking with partnering with MSU on that as well as with Matrix Chevrolet, who will provide some resources for us as well. And then May, we will have our Tigers game night in the suite, in the Wayne County suite. Nairobi, we had some tentative dates, right? Do you recall the dates? We don't have them on here, but
for May, we have I believe 11th and 13th.
Okay, so
May
if you guys,
11th.
can mark your calendars for that, May 11th or the 13th. It will be either of those days. One is, I think, a Wednesday, and the other is a Friday.
And these are evening games.
Yes, that's right, at 7 p.m. Thank you for that. And June 5th, our completion ceremony and celebration is going to be at the Detroit Port Authority, Wayne County Port Authority on the riverfront, 3 to 6:30. So mark your calendars for that. That is a Sunday. And I think that was all of the events that we have at this point. The only thing that's not on there is the tentative date for the skating activity. And we'll talk more about that as we make additional plans. Is there any questions about the calendar? Any questions or concerns? All right, thank you. So I've done my part, and Karthana is going to run the rest of this meeting. Thank you, and back to Lori. Thank you for letting me interrupt.
Of course. Sorry, we both forgot that.
Yes.
Thank you. So I wanted to just share a little bit about 4-H before we get started, and then I'm just going to do a brief presentation on time management, which I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. So feel free to use the chat. So I put in the chat the website for our 4-H program, and 4-H is our youth development program for youth 5 to 19. And I get to do a lot of great work. I'm based here in Wayne County, and I get to do a lot of great work around career exploration and workforce readiness. life skills, things to prepare you for your future. We have a lot of great opportunities around that. Some money contests where you could win money. We have some great educational opportunities to attend webinars to learn about how to manage your money, and you could also earn money by attending those. We have a club that meets virtually and in person for 7 Southeast counties, including Wayne County, to build adulting skills for your future. It's called the 4-H Future Spin Club. It's called the Future Squad, 4-H Future Squad, excuse me. So I will put my email in the chat if anyone's interested in finding out about more programs specifically in 4-H or any of the things I mentioned. I welcome you to get in touch with me at rivettoL@msu.edu. So I will share my screen. I'm going to do a short presentation for you all, but let me make sure I get it going. And get my share screen option up. I should have had that ready before. Here you go. And let me launch this presentation. Okay, so are y'all able to see that okay?
Yeah, I see it.
Yep, we can see it. Great.
Great, awesome.
Yes, we can.
So just a note that all of our programs are open to all. We fully believe in the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We know that human differences enrich our lives, work, and community. We also have on the screen there our land acknowledgement to understand and acknowledge the longstanding history and legacy of colonialism. And in all of our programs, I like to just comment that it's really important to be respectful, inclusive, supportive, open-minded, engaged, brave, and yourself. Whoever you are and what you bring is what we need. So thanks for having me be a part of the energy that you all have with this youth commission. I think it's wonderful. So I like to just start off with talking about time management, that I like to say it's the art of time management, because the reality is all of these are different pictures of art, right? But some you might appreciate more than another. One you might be able to create, another you might not be able to create. One might work in one setting and space, but not in another. For instance, the picture at the top with the sunglasses may not necessarily fit in an 18th century Renaissance church. So some things might work better in some settings and not in something else. And the same is true with time management. And in addition, there's no one way that works for everyone. So one version might work for a friend of yours, or for your parent or guardian, or for the commissioners. It might work. There might be one way that works for them, but there isn't a should in time management. You have to find the system that works for you. I'm going to share a couple of principles and tips today, but I think it's really great to talk amongst yourselves and find out what works well. Ask people who you respect or who you look up to, your mentors, and find out what works for them, and try it out and see if it works for you. And you might have to adjust at some point in time, and that's fine too. So the biggest thing I like to talk about here is that it's really awesome to track your time. So track how you use your time, and it helps you sort of see what's going on with your time and where you might be effectively using your time and where you're not using your time. So there's a statement, fail to plan, you plan to fail. So again, if you're keeping a log, you can see where you're using your time best and making sure that you're devoting time every day to the important tasks in your schedule. A lot of times, tell me if anyone feels like this is how their life is. Like, when do you need this by? Stat, immediately. I need it yesterday. Does anyone feel that way? Or is it just me?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think especially senior year. That's
yes.
that's the biggest thing.
I highly agree, 100%.
Yes. Okay, so it's not just me. Good. Okay, so yes. The problem with this is that everything can't be done immediately, right? Everything can't be done. Everything's not urgent. Everything's not important. So the important piece here is you have to prioritize. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, oh, it just wants to keep doing its stat pictures for me. What I want to talk about is how to prioritize. So there's two different approaches to prioritizing that have been researched. One's by Pareto, which is the 80-20 rule. The others by Covey. Covey is the one that I'm most familiar with. So I just want to talk a little bit about it. It's the chart at the bottom there, where you look at whether something's important and urgent, important, not urgent, and then the whole not important category with urgent and not urgent as well. So if we look at some of those examples, the things that you would do first are those things that are both important and urgent. So any ideas of what an example of something might be if it's important and urgent that you have to do first? What would be an example in your life?
Homework.
Apply.
Homework.
Sorry.
Good. What was else?
Apply. Like there's deadlines for applications.
Yeah, deadline for application. Good. So an upcoming test, a big project, a pressing problem, an emergency, right? You can't be like, oh, just pause on that emergency. No, you have to handle it. So do first, important and urgent. All right, let's move on to the next one. Important, but not urgent. So you have an option to schedule it and plan for it. What might be important and not urgent?
Doctor's appointment.
Ooh, a doctor's appointment. Good one.
It's like a college interview.
Ooh, an interview. So you could schedule it. Yeah, for when it works for your schedule and plan for it. Yep.
Oh, job interview.
Job interview, potentially. It could be you don't have a lot of control, but yes, there might be some options to put it at a time that's better in your day. So those are great examples. Some other ones could be things like exercise. It's important in your life, but it might not be urgent. You don't have to do it right this second. So you could schedule it and plan it. Same with something like sleep or spending time with family and friends. Like it's really important to do that in your life, but you don't have to do it at this exact moment. You can schedule it and plan for it. Cleaning, the doctor's appointments y'all mentioned, reading, learning something new, organizing, paying bills. So you can schedule it, put it in your calendar, make sure it gets done and plan for it. It's not urgent. If you don't schedule and plan these things though, they do end up moving to that urgent category. So I'm thinking about like the example some of you said, if you aren't taking care to go to a doctor, it could become urgent because now maybe you have an emergency because you didn't take care of it by regularly seeing a doctor or dentist. Or if you don't, get sleep and plan for it, then now it becomes urgent because your health suffers. So you have to be careful about those and make sure that you actually do schedule and plan them. Let's move to not important, urgent, the things that you could delegate or delay. What might be an example of that?
Extracurriculars.
Interesting. Okay. Any other thoughts on this one? This one's tricky.
Really, almost anything, to be honest.
Yeah, so this one's interesting because what comes up with this is that oftentimes it's someone else telling us it's urgent. So it's like the phone calls, the meetings, some meetings and events, emails, like some errands, like they feel urgent or like somebody else tells it has to be done right now, but it might be something that you could delay. It might be something that you could ask somebody else to do, or, something along those lines, that it's not necessarily important to you, but it's urgent to somebody else. So you do have to keep that in mind, is whether it's urgent for somebody else and you should still do it and it's still important because of that relationship, or if it's actually not important, it's something that you can pause or, hand off to somebody else. So then let's look at the last one, which is not important and not urgent, which are things you could eliminate, especially when you're tracking your time, you could eliminate. What might be an example of that?
Like going out.
Okay.
This might be like a negative connotation, but like procrastination.
Yup. That's a good one. Yep, it's going to be any of those like time wasters, which we are all guilty of. So things like social media or, you know, responding to every post or every message that comes across our phone or our inbox, gossiping, busy work, anything that you're doing that's a procrastination activity, like someone mentions, or that's not based on your values. So it's really not actually contributing or adding to your life. I do want to say some of the things that are time wasters can be ways that we relax or we do self-care or that we decompress. It's when it shifts over into just being like a useless waste of time where like maybe I'm looking on my social media and it's a peaceful thing for a little while, but when 45 minutes passes and I didn't realize that now all of a sudden it's 7:45 and I'd started doing this at 6:30, whoops. Like that's when it becomes one of those time wasters as opposed to maybe like something that was just a calming thing or something interesting to do for a few minutes. So it's just important to think about the distinction there of how long you're spending it and whether it's really contributing to your life or whether it's just a waste of time that you could use for something that might be more value-based. Maybe that would have been time that would have been spent, you know, taking care of myself, getting some rest or going to bed earlier or reading a book or cleaning up a room as opposed to just sitting and scrolling on social media. So I might, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to breeze through some of these, but the big thing here with to-do lists is try to avoid having multiple lists. I know I love to write things on a list and cross it off, but the more lists you have, the more confusing it can be. Try to keep everything on one list and rank those things. I actually love to use, here's an example of mine. It's a book that looks like this. I'll flip it to a blank page. It looks like this. And so it has like a spot for priority tasks and it has a spot for things I have to do every day. And I find this to be really helpful for prioritizing for my week. So again, you have to decide what system works for you, daily, weekly, or monthly. You want to use a planning tool that works for you. Oh, there's an example of my weekly planner right on the screen. So digital or paper, make sure though that you're reviewing it frequently, you're keeping it with you, if you have a backup system or a plan or approach if something were to happen to your technology or if you were to lose your calendar, your paper calendar. And then again, use what works for you. Some people are auditory, so maybe they need vocal reminders. Some people need to see things. Some people need to write things. So use what works for you for the best way for you to keep track. I'm not going to do this poll, but somebody mentioned procrastination. So if you want in the chat, tell me, do you always procrastinate, never procrastinate, sometimes? What are our procrastination practices? Always, never, most of the time. All right, thank you for being honest. Brave and honest a lot, most times. Okay. I'm going to give you a tip right now about procrastination because many of you have shared very honestly that procrastination can be a challenge. So our biggest thing with procrastination is that it's usually because we're putting off a task that seems either unpleasant or overwhelming. So there's two real approaches to avoid procrastination. They both happen to do with food. So it should be an easy way to kind of remember it. I'm going to talk about the first one, which is the Swiss cheese at the top there. This is actually a method that was shared by someone called Al Lakin, and he talks about breaking something into smaller tasks. So sort of like there's the holes in the cheese, breaking it into smaller tasks and setting a timer for 15 minutes and working on those small tasks for 15 minutes. And then by breaking it into those small pieces, you'll keep moving forward. So if you tell yourself, I'm only going to do this for 15 minutes, and then I'm only going to do this for 15 minutes, it keeps you moving forward on it, as opposed to seeing it as so big and so overwhelming. The bottom picture of the tomato is a very similar approach. It's called the Pomodoro Technique, and Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. So that is a very similar approach where you set a timer and for 25 minutes, that's what they say for the Pomodoro one. And you make an oath to spend those 25 minutes focused on that task. So you really immerse yourself in it. And then if like something else comes to mind, you're like, oh, I gotta remember to do this or whatever, you write that down and then get right back to your task. But you don't let yourself get interrupted during that work. After the 25 minutes is done, you take a brain break, a short, not anything related to the task at hand break. And then after 4 of those 25 minutes or 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer 20 to 30 minute break. So the idea here is that you focus your brain and then you take a little break. You focus your brain, take a little break, focus your brain, take a little break, focus your brain, then take a longer break. And that's just kind of a snapshot of the Pomodoro technique. But if you want to find out more, you can look it up online. There's like trainings and there's information online on the Pomodoro technique, but both of them involve focusing and then taking a break. So, and they all have to do with food. So does that make anybody else hungry? Cheese and tomatoes. All right, in the chat as well. Yes, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Yes, perfect. Are you more of an early bird or a night owl? If you had to pick one, tell me in the chat. Night owl, okay. Oh, okay, good. All right. A lot of young people are night owls, I find. Early birds, okay. Yeah, so, and it might change in your life, but the key here and why I bring this up is that it is so important to know when you are most productive and alert and use that time. And again, it can change throughout your life, but if you know that you are more productive at night, try to do some of those important tasks at night. And I know some families might find that frustrating, but try to use that time for when you can be the most focused. And the other thing about using time well is make use of waiting or sitting time. So if you are going to be sitting someplace, waiting for something to start, waiting for an appointment, waiting in a car, you know, try to get something done there. Make your to-do list, follow up on an email, you know, like use that time productively. So that you're using your time effectively and not, you know, wasting it during that particular time. And then the other thing is schedule most important things first. Try to put those on your calendar and on your schedule, and then kind of fill in some of those other things. So those important and those important and urgent and not urgent things should be on your schedule, and then look at where you can fill in some of the other kind of miscellaneous items. Here, the big thing, of course, is don't overschedule. So don't fill every single piece of your day. I have done this before, and I'm guessing because of how committed and involved all of you are, you've done it as well. But I filled up my day sometime that I'm like, how did I think I was going to do all those things? Like to go from one to the next. So don't overschedule. And let me skip ahead. I want to just talk about the multitasking myth. It is a myth. Multitasking is not effective. It is something where it's better to focus on one task and get your full engagement in it so you have your best understanding. Yes, it is a myth because your brain has to switch gears. So it's really important to actually focus on one task at a time. Use Pomodoro or the Swiss cheese method. And then I mentioned about time wasters before. And the last thing I just want to say is knowing your priorities and your goals, you'll be able to say no. It's a small word that's sometimes really hard for people to share, or to say, I guess, but it's really important when you know your priorities to say no in a polite way when you're not able to do something or follow through on a commitment, and to share that honestly with other people. And that is it for me today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but I'm so grateful that you had me come out and visit today. And I wish you a successful rest of your meeting.
Excuse me, if you wouldn't mind putting the name of your organization in the chat.
Sure.
And would you go back to the first slide just so I can take a picture for our social media?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let me go back to it and I'll share in 1 second. Like the title slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go. That's actually bigger. So thank you all for participating. I so appreciate all of the comments and knowing we're not alone, that time is hard to manage sometimes. It's a constant process. So keep up the trial and error and find your own art.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Rubetto. The presentation was super informative. I think most of our council members, all of them, are definitely going to benefit from that. So thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great information.
Yeah, so Madam Clerk, if we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
We are moving on to item E, book reading points with Commission Chair Alicia Bell.
Very good. And you can take the agenda off the screen so I can see everyone. And if everyone could please turn on your cameras. Hello, I am Alicia Bell, Chair of the Wayne County Commission. I was the chairwoman when we established this organization. So again, I want to thank you all for agreeing to join us at this Wayne County Youth Council, Wayne County Commission Youth Council. This is our second year. And again, I just want to commend all of you for taking time out of your day and your schedule to be with us and learn as much as you can about county government. Your particular commissioner, I know, thanks you so much. So please make sure that you reach out to him or her before this year is over with. Just tell them about your experience, because after those of you who are seniors move on, we want to make sure that our commissioners know what a valuable experience this is, and they continue to recommend great people like yourself to the Wayne County Commission Youth Council. So again, thank you all for showing your faces, beautiful faces. All right. Book. We're gonna get into this book thing. Who moved my cheese? Raise your hand. That should be everybody. I was kind of blurry here. Everybody. There we go. All right. Very good. So this is going to be interactive for the next few minutes. So I'm going to call on you randomly. So be prepared. So everyone read the book? Thoughts? Thomas, what did you think?
It was interesting. It gave me like a new perspective on how other people think, and like in regards to change, and how like my way is not the only way of reacting to change.
Absolutely. Were you all able to get the little study guide that I emailed? I don't know if is Gagny? Are you on? Is this Gagny clerk of the meeting?
Yes, it's me, Chair. I didn't receive an email from you, so I'm not sure if it was me that shared it.
Oh no. Okay, no problem. I asked that all of the young people get a copy of this really great study guide that I have. But I am going to press on, because what happens when you have change? You have to do what? Something doesn't go the way you planned it. You got to pivot and move forward, right? That's what we learned from the book. Yeah. So anyway, I had a great study guide that I was hoping that you guys were able to go through and really break down all the characters and even find yourself in the characters. So we had sniff, squirry, him, and haw. And I'm just going to briefly read over the characteristics of each of them. Sniff. Sniff sniffs out and anticipates change sooner than most. And I'm going to say teens because in this study guide that I have, it was particularly for teens. So sniffs out and anticipates change sooner than other teens. Because he or she anticipates, sniff is better prepared for change. Sniff is alert to small changes that may lead to larger changes, expects change to occur in life, and can adapt to change. That is sniff. Raise your hand where you are like this if you can relate to sniff. And if you can relate to sniff? Nobody? Okay, we'll keep moving. One person, McKenna. Okay, McKenna's a sniff. All right, very good. Scurry. Scurries into action quickly when change occurs, so he or she can change and wins sooner than most teens. Easily changes directions if needed and can adapt to change. Who is scurry? Anybody relate to scurry? Francesco, I'm saying your name. Mr. Hernandez, Gabrielle, Jana. Okay, Jaden. Oh, so most of you guys are scurries. Okay. Him gets hemmed up in his or her reluctance to change, wants to stay in comfortable surroundings, gets stuck in fear and discomfort, gets angry, blames others, gets depressed, cannot adapt to change, so he or she gets lost. Is anybody a him? Don't like change? Zion. That's honest, Zion. Mr. Hernandez, semi, a little bit, sort of. Hannah, a little bit, kind of, sort of, sometimes. And then there's Haw. At first, he hems and haws, but is able to laugh at his fear, is able to see a real solution, and can adjust, and is happy when he changes and finds something better. Who's a haw? I think I'm a haw. Kind of him and haw for a little bit, but then kind of snap out of it and then say, this is what I need to do. So who has your book in front of you? Anybody? All right, cool. So let's do this. Now that we've acknowledged the characteristics of each of the four characters, and I asked you who do you relate to most, let's go to the what the story was about. Of course, it was him and Hall, who are the little tiny people, and then it was Scurry and Sniff, who were the mice running through the maze. The moral of the story was, I'm not going to go through all of this because you read it, but the moral of the story was there was cheese. They found the cheese. One of them noticed that the cheese was getting smaller, right? They noticed change was coming, and they put in their mind that, let me just have in the back of my mind that this big old lump of cheese, me living on a high horse, is not going to be here very long. But him and Hall, on the other hand, they were just like, hey, come visit my cheese. Come on, bringing their friends and family over. They were all excited. They didn't think cheese was ever going to change and that cheese was going to be here forever. But that's not what Scurry and Snuff knew. They knew that, or Sniff rather, they knew that something was going to happen, and they had to adapt in their mind how they were going to react when something happens. So I think that's the moral of the story, is that we always have to be prepared because change is going to come. And knowing that change is going to come, you have to make sure that you prepare in your mind for that change. There are some cool little scenarios that this study guide has this specifically for teenagers. So I'm going to read a scenario, and then I want you to tell me who you are in this scenario. Scurry, Sniff, him, or ha. Let's see, here's a good one. Oh, here's a good one. They told you next school year, school was going to start 45 minutes earlier than it did this year. Karthana, what are you in this scenario? You just found out next year. Are you a senior or a junior, Karthana?
I'm a senior.
Okay, well, okay, I'm not gonna go to you then. You hold that thought. I'll come back to you for another one. Hannah, are you a junior or a senior, or a junior or a sophomore or a freshman?
I'm a senior this year.
Okay, raise your hand if you're a junior or a sophomore. Okay, McKenna.
I think that I would definitely be a haw, because for me personally, I like to moan and groan and complain at first when I put out of my comfort zone, but then I realize as I get more comfortable, this is what I need to do more often to grow. So I feel like I would very much complain about it in the beginning, but then kind of realize the positives to it. If I can't think of any off the top of my head, because
well, maybe the positive is that you get out of school 45 minutes earlier.
Oh, there you go.
See?
There you go.
See?
I have more to do with my afternoon.
I agree 100%.
Early morning.
But you don't actually get out of school 45 minutes earlier. you just perceive it as that. It's still the same amount of time.
Ooh, good point.
Here's my thing. Who does stuff at 5 in the morning compared to 2 p.m.? You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
So there's your positive.
That's
5
your
a.m., that's when I get up for school.
But instead of going home, let's say at 3 o'clock at the end of the day is at 2:15. So
I think I'd be really happy with that because I do so many extracurriculars. I do stuff every day of the week. So that'd definitely be a good one. I stay at school until like 8 o'clock at night because of my robotics team. Like it's build season, so we've been going hard.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
No, that's good. I mean, that's a scenario where you would be, like I said, be a hall. You'd be like, oh man, I gotta wake up an hour earlier than I do. I already get up early enough. But you think about it, you adapt, and then you think of a positive side of it. And then something that happened in the book that I think many of you, hopefully you got this, Hall, he at some point remembered and thought about how silly it was for them to just kind of hang out with no cheese, thinking the cheese was going to magically come back. And he said, this is silly. He began to laugh at himself for having this silly thought that, you know, nothing that they could have just sit there and just stand there and just think the cheese was going to come back. So you have to laugh at yourself sometimes and say, okay, this is ridiculous. I've been sitting on my butt, not doing anything, thinking something's going to happen. They call it the definition of insanity when you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And that's what him and Hall were doing the same thing, expecting something would change. So Hall got it, and he got his button gear, and he was able to find the new cheese. So here's a good one. Your boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with you. Are you a him or a ha? Or are you a scurry and a sniff? You'd be like, okay, I found another one. So who wants to answer that one? Anyone? Who would? Mr. Hernandez? You're scurry?
I'm scurry.
You like scurry? You gonna go on and find another nice young lady who would appreciate your time.
Exactly. About, you know, maybe it's just scurry. Somewhere else, it's not always another girl. It might be that, you know.
Exactly.
You don't appreciate me. You ain't worth my time.
It's worth a shot. So yeah, it could be kind of like a bummer at first, but again, you got to not stay in that funk. I think that's the point that I'm trying to make with all of these scenarios is that you can go and be in your emotions for a minute, but you can't stay there. You have to eventually move on and know that there are greener pastures out there. Here's another cute one. It says, oh God, you get a new job and you're all excited, but then you find out you have to work every Friday and Saturday night. Okay, Kirthenda, that's for you because you're a senior. You're trying to hang out, Madam Chair. You don't want to have to work every Friday and Saturday night. How do you feel about that? Are you scurry, sniff? Are you him or you haw?
Definitely a haw. I would not like that, but if it's my job, I would eventually adapt to it and be okay with it. But I think I would frequently complain from time to time.
Every Friday and Saturday night of your senior year, you had to go to work. That is definitely a haw. It's a him, actually, then he turns into a haw. Making sure that you understand the importance of having that responsibility of working because you wanted this new job, right? So now you have it. You have to take all the good with it, good and the bad, if you will. Here's a fun one. This is for Riley. Riley, you dye your hair and it comes out the wrong color. What do? Are you scurry, sniff, him or haw?
I'd say a haw. I just have to accept that it's just not the color I wanted.
Except that it's orange and you were going for blonde. And would you go to school like that?
No.
So you might be a him because you're like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I know. And again, all of these cute little scenarios are just kind of honing in on the things that could happen to you guys in your regular life. You know, you broke your foot by playing your favorite sport. I mean, you know, you're devastated. You can't stand it. You want to play basketball or soccer or volleyball, whatever it is, you broke your foot, you can't do it, you're bummed out, but you realize that you have to just keep on moving. That's the point of the book. Jana, tell me what you got out of the book after you read it.
So I kind of guess with a different perspective on change and like adapt to change and getting rid of something you're comfortable with to get out of your comfort zone.
Right, exactly. And I think it was a quick read, so it wasn't, like Charles Dickens where you had, chapters and chapters. It was really quick. It was a fun story, and I think it was something that we can all get something out of. Those of you who have your book, I'm going to go through the handwritings on the wall. The handwriting on the wall were little snippets at every couple of pages or so that were very, very important for us to remember when we read this book. The number one is that change happens. The cheese is always going to move. There's always going to be change in your life. Again, how you react to the change is going to determine what kind of person you are and what kind of outcome that you have. So that the cheese keeps moving. That's what it said on the wall. The cheese keeps moving. You have to get ready for the cheese to move. That means anticipate change. And I'll tell you a personal story about me and a lot of elected officials have is the fact that we're in districts and we're elected to our county commission seats every 2 years. But after, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, the population changes sometimes. You may get an abundance of young people come in. You may get a new nationality of people come in. You may lose seniors because they die and they might be your strongest voting bloc, but change happens. So we have to be able to anticipate that our district is going to change and govern ourselves accordingly to make sure that we're appealing to the constituents in our group by changing. But if you just sat back and think, 10 years ago when you first were elected, everything is the same 10 years later, that's how you lose elections, when you don't anticipate that change is going to happen. And then you have to monitor the change. And then one of the writings on the wall said that you have to smell the cheese often so that you know when it's getting old. You know what that means? Smell the cheese often so you know that when it's getting old. Because again, if you're just sitting on the cheese and everything looks good, you're not thinking about it, the cheese is changing. And if you're not alert to that change, again, you're going to get left behind or be surprised when the cheese is gone or when it's gone bad. Another one is the quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese. Let's go back to that girlfriend, boyfriend. Okay, you got to get rid of old cheese. Sorry, boyfriend, girlfriend, didn't work out. But that just sets you up for some new cheese. There's some new cheddar out there. So you have to make sure that you're making sure that you understand that how to adapt quickly when things happen. So again, don't get stuck right here in the middle. Know that going forward, things are going to get better. And then moving with the cheese. Change happens. Enjoy the cheese. When you're with it, you enjoy it, you taste it, but always think about the next adventure. What's the next thing that's going to happen that's going to really propel you into your greatness? Everything happens for a reason, and everything prepares you for going forward in your life. Be it a new studies in school, new friends, a new school if you happen to have to move from the 9th grade to the 12th grade or 9th grade to 10th grade, you're moving around. All of those things propel you and prepare you for something else. It's the new cheese. So don't get stuck in the old cheese. Make sure that you have room in your mind for the new cheese. And of course, be ready to quickly change and enjoy it. Enjoy the new cheese. The new cheese is going to come along, but just enjoy it. So it might not be provolone, maybe it's feta, but enjoy the new cheese because the new cheese is going to help you get along and it's going to help you move into your life and move into better parts of your life. Just know it's part of the process. Change happens, things happen. You are prepared for those things and do not get stuck like him got stuck. They never talked about him again. Him probably died of malnutrition because he was waiting for the cheese to come back. The cheese wasn't coming back. Him did not move. Bad him. He died. So sorry for him. You have to make sure that you are prepared to move forward with this new cheese and that you can accept the challenge so that you can thrive and stay alive and be viable. Okay? Any questions about who moved my cheese? Any final thoughts? Ariana, any final thoughts from you? Ms. Dortch? Ms. Dorch. Okay, Ms. Jana, final thoughts from you? Mr. Brown, Mr. Fleming Brown, what was your favorite part of the book, sir?
Are you talking to me?
I'm sorry, Shakari Fleming. I'm sorry, yes. Yes, sorry.
My favorite part of the book was probably the dialogue that the actual people were having before and after the story. I like how they related to real life examples and really show us how we can apply this to our lives. It's dope.
Absolutely. I mean, it was quick read, but it was good. De'Ara, are you on, Ms. Searles?
Yes, that was my favorite part too, because it was just really relatable.
The end of this, when the adults were talking about after their class reunion?
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. Anybody else? Jaden?
Well, when I first read the book, I didn't honestly know what to expect. Though when I later read onto the book, I kind of felt like it corresponded to my life in general because I kind of went from a hymn to a hall and now to a scurry, which I've been for the past 10 years now.
That's good. I'm glad that it's relatable and that you can relate to it and you see yourself moving through that. I mean, that's the whole point. I think is to see yourself and how you grow as a person through different scenarios. Thomas, how about you? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part was just the beginning, how they had to like adapt the different, like just seeing the different ways the different people and personalities adapted to the situation.
Yeah. Would you recommend this book, Narobia? Would you recommend this book to your friends?
Yeah, I would, because it's like the principle behind the simple concept of it being mice in a maze with cheese. Like it's an actual principle that teaches you a life lesson in it.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you were recommended to your friends. And again, the nice little lesson plan that I have that you don't have, it can kind of walk you through the different scenarios, and I'll still try to get that out to you as well. Gabrielle, how do you think about the book? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you hear me? My mic.
Yes, I can. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what I got from the book was just basically how it explained how even though like things constantly change, we must adapt to it, whether it's good or bad.
Because there's always going to be some bad in your life, right? I mean, everything's not going to be roses every day of your life, correct? You all agree with that? There's good times, there's going to be sad times, there's going to be things that change, there's going to be things that change unexpectedly. But I think you got to remember how, I think it was Sniff, you call him Sniff. It is Sniff. How Sniff kind of had foresight and was always checking things out and always kind of being on the forefront of learning, thinking something is not always going to be the way it is right now. And I think that's how we have to be as humans. We have to know that it is certainly possible that things could change, and we have to make sure that we have the tools to adapt to that change so that we're not stuck like a him. Like I said, unfortunately, poor little him, we never heard from him again. But so we have to make sure that we, are adaptable to changes that occur in our life, because they're going to happen. But just know it's not the end of the world if you are Sniff, Scurry, or Haw, because you have the tools to make those adaptations and to move forward. Well, I'm glad Miss Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick suggested that we read this book. I read it years ago, so I had to reread it, and I thought it was good life lessons. Sometimes you have to be reminded, even adults. I'm thinking about even having commissioners read this, because when you get an adult, especially the adults, they really we get stuck in our ways. The way we did it 10, 15 years ago is the way that we want to do it now. And so adults, we really get stuck in our ways. So I think this book is a good reference point for us to let us know that we have to adapt to those unexpected changes that happen in our lives, because they're going to happen and everything doesn't stay the same. People want things to stay the same, but they do not. And you just have to be able to roll with those And I'm glad you all are getting that lesson early on, so that when you become, late teens into college, or after you graduate high school, whatever your plans are, just knowing that you can make those adaptive changes because you have the tools to do that. So that is my spiel for today. You can put the agenda. Anybody have any last comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I think like my favorite part was definitely like when Hall was like going through, like getting out and going to that new thing of cheese, the way like he described it, and like I understand like the whole entire thing is to show the personal growth and that it's a journey, but like the language that like Spencer chose, like he described it as a journey, and like everybody always talks about like, oh, I'm on a personal journey, or oh, I have to grow, and it's true, but I think it's like sweet to see, like, and it's nice to see that like he put this in such a way that it was so simple that we always kind of overcomplicate things. I think like this part of our lives too, we're on like the second half, the second leg of high school. We're getting ready to do something real with our lives, come through like a true big thing, and it's scary, but I think like we're all on a journey right now, and that was like something that came at the right time. It was just I really did enjoy it, and I'll recommend it to anybody for sure.
Thank you. And you just reminded me of a passage that I wanted to read. I marked it in my book. Here it is. When you talked about being afraid, I'll just read the paragraph. It says, he knew sometimes some fear could be good. When you are afraid things are going to get worse, if you don't do something, it can prompt you into action. But it is not good when you are so afraid that it keeps you from doing anything. So he got afraid enough to do something. He didn't have the fear that kept him in the box like him did. He got afraid of doing nothing would be worse than doing something. So we have to make sure that we don't let our fear paralyze us. He decided to take a chance and go out of his comfort zone, and he adapted to the change because he said that I know there's fear, I'm scared of what's next, but I think I'm scared even more of standing still and not doing anything. And that's where him got messed up. He was so afraid to go out in the maze, he wanted to stay where he was. He was fearful of what was out there, but the fear was staying there and not going out. So you always have to gauge your fear and see how that works for you. And I think that was a very important passage that I wanted to make sure that we recognize. Fear can be a motivator to do good things because you don't want to get stuck in that fear for too long, and then you do nothing, and then that's worse than whatever you were afraid of. So very good point, friend, to pronounce your name, because I keep jacking it up.
It's okay. Everybody always does. It's like the city, San Francisco.
Francisco, gotcha. Thank you, sir. Francisco. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Any final thoughts before we turn it back over to your chair, lady? Well, I hope you all enjoyed the book. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to add that one part of the book that I really liked was when it talks about how like Ha was he was like, even though he noticed that he like missed some stuff because he took so long to like take action, it made sure to say that it's never too late. Like it's never too late to like make a change or accept a change. And I felt like that was really a really important part.
Absolutely. It may take a minute, just like, like we were going to fuss when we had to get to school 45 minutes earlier. I mean, we're going to fuss, and you may take that first day and be late, but by the second day, you're going to get there on time. And it's not too late to correct that action and move forward. And he realized that. And I think Ha is probably representative of most behavior that humans have. We fuss at the beginning, we're not quite sure, we're a little fearful, but eventually we make that change. I think that's why that character was in there, because that represents a lot of characteristics that all of us have. Little scared at first, but eventually we make that change to go forward and do something and understand the change happens and adapt to that change. Very good point. All right, anyone else before we go? All right. Well, thank you all for letting me discuss this book with you. Thank you all for reading it. I think it was really, really good. Keep it close because, like I said, even adults, we need this book in our lives as well. So as you go through the rest of high school and then whatever your plans are after high school, keep this close because it's a good reference point in case you do get stuck in a hymn type of mode in your life. You'd read this book and you get out of the hymn and you get to haw, scurry, and sniff, and you'll find your new cheese. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Now turn it back to Madam Chairwoman, Ms. Kurthana.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much, Commissioner Bell. It was really fun hearing your analysis of the book and everyone collaborating as well. Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next point of business?
We're moving on to item F, unfinished business. Item F1, vision boards.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Yeah, if you could unshare the agenda for 1 second and I can show them the one that I did. So this is like, because I didn't have my poster board, so you guys could have did it on a sheet of paper. So this is like my little draft one to show you guys how mine's looked, and it doesn't matter if yours doesn't look similar, but this one says home. So that's like home, I cut out. This one is like travel, because that's a cabin. This one is family, because want to get married, have kids and a family. And then this one is home again, which is like what I would want my home to look like. So this is like a little mini vision board just to show you guys an example. If you guys want to, once she does her introduction and maybe shows hers, you guys can show yours if you guys did one, and then we can go from there. So that's it. Madam Chair, you can continue.
Yeah, so I know a few of us did some vision boards, so whoever wants to go first can just go ahead and unmute themselves and share their vision board. Or you can raise your hand too, I don't really care.
I'll go first since I got you guys. I'm sorry, mine is, I have to grab mine. So do we have to explain it too? Because I mean, some of mine is like kind of vague. I'm not gonna
Just
lie.
like a super brief description, like maybe like 1 minute.
All right, so I put the year obviously because it's 2022, and like some like the big things, like I put like a suit because I like dressing up. It was more like that. It wasn't more like trying to be, I don't know, but that was what it was more. I really like dressing up. I got somebody who is graduating, cap and gown. I have the rock because I'm trying to get buff. And I have like a lot of quotes, like, I want to tell my story more often. And I know I'm a big talker, but stuff like that. Like I want to talk more, even more. Yeah, I know. Live on campus is a big thing for me. I'm like ready to get out into the world and just stuff like that. Like, I think the vote wasn't a lot about voting. It was more about like turning 18 and becoming an adult, doing things on my own. But it was just a lot of stuff, a lot of like motivational stuff. And then I couldn't find some things I really wanted to include, so I just kind of wrote them. But this is my vision board. Hope you guys like it. That's kind of like the highlights, the rundown, if you will.
Yeah, it looked really nice. Good job. Does anyone want to go next?
I can go next.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so this is my vision board. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but this is what I have. So for like this corner, I like talked about college and how I'm like, well, while I am still a junior, college is like kind of steadily approaching next year. And I also included like ending high school, like things I want to do in the future is like visit like popular landmarks, and like when I'm older, I want to get a cat someday. And I also included how like I want to vote someday, so I put it like this, like I put this I voted sticker. And I also like included like something about like New York because I've always wanted to move there ever since I was like really young. And I included something about psych because I love learning about psychology. And I think I just like included like a lot of little things that I want to improve on at least this year, like with track. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All I have for mine.
Yeah, it was really nice. I liked how you kind of made it like a collage, so it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Claps.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the third person, whoever wants to go, can go ahead.
I can go ahead. So mine was kind of extra. I don't know if you guys can see it. So I have 5 goals total. So my first one is graduating high school because that's a big one. I want to go to a college for like law, and I want to eventually be a judge. So you have to be a lawyer in order to be a judge. So there's that. I'd like to attend Oakland, Wayne, Cooley Law School, one of those. I'd eventually like to find an apprenticeship for a judge or a lawyer. It depends all really where it goes from there. And my 4th goal is to get my license because I refuse to drive. I'm so scared of it. And my 5th goal is to just like overall enjoy my 2022, because I feel like a lot of times we are worried on making these goals and like achieving them, but you also got to take time for yourself to like enjoy it, because you won't like get anywhere unless you're enjoying yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, it looked great. I liked how you had it like 5 goals. I wouldn't have thought of that. So claps.
Thank you.
Yeah, so whoever wants to go next can go ahead.
I'll go next. So I did it on like the board we got from the DIA. So right up here I have NASM. This is like a personal certified trainer, or certified personal trainer. I'm an amateur bodybuilder, so I really hope I can get this certification soon to train other people. You know, I got my cap. I want to graduate. I want to travel more. One of my whatever's on my bucket, like one of my bucket lists, I want to go back to England. I'm very strong in my faith, so I see myself also being very strong in my faith in 5 years, and just overall being involved in my mental health and taking control over that. And that's about it.
Yeah, it looked great. I loved the bodybuilder part, so claps. Jaden, I saw your poster. If you want, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure it could fit in the frame.
Oh, sorry. If you don't want to.
So my vision board is a little different from everybody. So I want to be a video game developer. So I have a lot of the types of video games like I want to do on here, like open world and whatnot. But there is one thing that's different. There's this one poster that I found when I was cleaning up my room that I did a few years ago about gun violence. And I put this up as a symbol that I hope we can solve a resolution.
Yeah, it looked really good. Claps. Does anyone else want to share their vision board?
I can go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I kind of divided mine up. Into like categories. So there's like life in general, and then dreams, and like career and relationships and college. So for college, I put like some postcards, I guess, since I want to like to go to college in like Chicago. And then for relationships, I put like a picture of a dog because I want to get a dog when I'm older. And then also like I want to like maintain like my friendships that I have today and like take them into the future. And then for my career, I'd like to go into like law or literature or something along those lines, and also become like a globally minded citizen, I guess. And like, so that's a voting thing with that too. And then for dreams, I love to travel, so I would love to go to like all the continents, and then like concerts and stuff. That would be great. I forgot to write my name. And then I guess my life in general. I want to live in London, so I have a picture of that.
Yeah, we got a lot of lawyers, future lawyers. Claps. Does anyone else want to present their vision board?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my biggest goal is going to law school. So that's mainly what this is about. I hope to want to go to law school at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor. I want to major in constitutional law and hopefully become a law
Sorry,
professor.
you sound muffled.
Yeah, 1 second. We can't hear you really. Is there a way you can fix it?
Okay.
Or come a little closer.
Yeah, it's probably the AirPods.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh no, now we can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. You can finish.
Okay, should I start over?
Yeah.
Okay, so my biggest goal is going to law school. I want to major in constitutional law and hopefully become a law professor. I really want to go to the law school at University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and something that motivates me is women empowerment. That's kind of like my biggest motivation to go to law school, so that's why I also included. And yeah.
Yeah, great job. 3 pre-lawyers. Oh my goodness. Does anyone else want to present?
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just fair warning, like I'm not really responsible, so I did lose the poster, but I still did it. So I'm just gonna start. Okay, I want to graduate. Hold on, I want to graduate. That's like my main goal. Then I want to go to FAMU. That's the college I want to go to. I want to travel, and I definitely want to have another dog, but this is my dog now, so I can't replace him right now. But I do want another dog. When I get older, I want to be a chief marketing officer, CMO. So yeah, and of course, I want to have a house. So yeah, that's my dream board. Or yeah.
Okay, great job.
Right, and just to add, Zion, what you can do is you can print those pictures that you just showed on your phone and paste them to a plain piece of paper. And that's your vision board. Everybody's vision board can be different, but it's really about what it means to you. So great.
And also, I will say that I am a graduate of Florida A&M University. So if you need any assistance with the alumni, please let me know. I was down there for homecoming this past November with my 2 children who are in the 8th and 9th grade, and it was a awesome experience. So please stay close eye, and I can give you pointers and some advice if you'd like to go to FAMU.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great job. Does anyone else want to present their vision boards? We're all set.
Okay, we can put the agenda back up.
Okay. All right, perfect. Madam Clerk, can we move on to our next point?
We're moving on to item 2 under unfinished business, discuss gun violence prevention initiative.
Yeah, thank you. So this year, our main kind of youth council project was centered around gun violence. We voted on it during last meeting. So we were just gonna kind of brainstorm some ideas of what we could possibly do with gun violence in Wayne County and how we could kind of, yeah, so that's an example of actually last year's resolution that all of our council members worked on together to write, and we presented it in front of the Wayne County commissioners. So you can kind of see it's a little bit of a different format. We start off with a lot of statistics, and then as we scroll down, you're going to kind of see like what our resolution was. I think everyone got a copy of this earlier as well. So if you read over it, you'd be kind of familiar with it. So like the first page is almost entirely statistics. And when you go down, you can finally kind of see our plan. So when it says resolved, that's what the Wayne County Commission Youth Council wanted to do for Wayne County. So we wanted to create a plan to implement peer support groups to help people talk to each other and improve the mental health of the youth in Wayne County, especially during COVID, because people couldn't really see each other. So it was a lot harder on us. So that's kind of what the resolution looked like last year. So this year we'd probably use the same format, but obviously we do it on gun violence. There's a lot of different things we could do. So we were just going to brainstorm it during this meeting. So if you wanted, we could even combine some stuff with mental health with gun violence, or we can just focus on gun violence as well. So yeah, it's up to everyone. You can just feel free to unmute and speak your mind.
I think definitely a good mixture of this gun violence and mental health from what our previous guest speaker at the DIA was talking about. I think that's definitely like a really good start, because I remember her specifically saying that gun violence stems from unbalanced mental health. So I mean, I feel like they like just the two go hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have something related to what McKenna said or anything new?
I definitely agree with McKenna because I feel like a lot of gun violence, if you look into like the actual crime or like the case of the crime, a lot of them mention mental health issues, and a lot of them get treated for that in like the future. So yeah, I definitely agree. We should use definitely some of this from this one.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a lot of like kind of resources from last year's resolution too about mental health. So it would definitely be easier to pull information from for this project as well. Does anyone else have anything to add? Anyone?
I don't know if this would be like a week. I mean, you guys can totally tell me no, but my dad was a Detroit police officer for 25 years, a sergeant for 5, so 20 police officer, 5 for sergeant. So I mean, we could definitely get insight from a police officer themselves if we think that that would even be any type of helpful to us, and what we may think. I don't know.
I think definitely because like these police officers they're on scene when this stuff happens. They're getting a firsthand look. They're in the rooms when they're like, this is raw interrogation at this point. So that's like that's a great source to use because it's firsthand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was kind of why I wanted to bring it to the table. It's just an option, just to show like, I mean, the option is out there, and even if we just get information from what their perspective, anything helps in what we want.
Yeah.
Can I? Oh.
No,
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is what I want you guys to really get from this as well, because we are presenting this soon in April. So pretty soon you guys are gonna have to all come together. Each of you will have roles in putting together the resolution, so that's able to be presented in front of the commissioners' chambers to everyone. So you all will start dictating portions of who's gonna do this part, who's gonna look for evidence on this, and document it all together. And I believe I was talking to Francisco about you guys already have a group chat, a text chat with some of you in it, and maybe a couple of you are missing. So if you guys know how to use Zoom, you can message in this chat privately to Francisco instead of everyone, if you don't want everyone to have your number, but you guys are going to eventually have each other's number anyway. But you can put your number if you're not in this chat or you haven't been getting text from this chat. And in this chat, the executive board is going to begin to implement who's going to do what part of that, so you guys can do that together. They're particularly going to be trying to make sure this comes along and everyone's voice is heard and opinion is added into this. And then also, oh, go ahead.
I also like I've been trying to DM some of you guys. If you have your Instagram too, we also have one on Instagram. I know some people don't like, because I understand like with text messages, it just gets hidden in the back and you don't get the exact same notifications, but we're trying to do that too. So just if you DM me your number, and if you do have it, I know some of you guys already told me you don't have that, but an Instagram too. That way, we can get even more, connected, if that makes sense. Appreciate it.
So you guys can. Did you have something else you want to say?
I said that's all I have to say.
Oh, okay.
I was like the worst.
Okay, Madam Chair, you can finish.
All right, Zion, did you have something to say?
Yeah, just adding on to Hannah's thing about like research. My dad worked at Wayne County Juvenile Detention Center, and most of my uncles work there, so I can also get like firsthand like interviews and stuff, because I do have like their numbers, and there are some that I don't have numbers on. I could just ask my dad. So if you guys do want to go forward on the interviews and research and stuff, I'll definitely be able to help.
Yeah, for sure. Hannah, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Zion. That's really great to know. I think that that's like a great resource as well, because I mean, if we look back at like if we're looking at gun violence in like a school setting, a lot of school shootings are from children and people our age. So maybe talking to like them would be an even better help because we're getting it closer to our age and we're kind of getting a better understanding. So that's great to add. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And, especially with like Oxford, I think it's kind of more close to home for us too, with school shootings and things like that. So that'd definitely be a good topic to focus on. Yeah, does anyone else have anything to add?
Okay, make sure you guys are leaving your number and information to Francisco as well before we move on.
Yeah, you can just put that in the chat. All right, Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next item?
We're moving to item G, new business. Item G1, election results.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so last meeting, we voted for our executive board. So if everyone just oh yeah,
I can show the list of the new executive board. Yeah, if you can share accounts. Okay, so this, one second, you guys. So this is our new executive board for 2022 and 2021. You could finish, Madam Chair.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty much it. So I was just gonna see if everyone just wanted to introduce themselves and say their position, just so we have a name to a face. That might be helpful. My name is Kirthana Janasekaran. I'm the chair. Hopefully you know that. Yeah, and then we can just go straight down the list.
Okay. You guys can show your face now. Sorry.
You're fine.
So, Madam Vice Chair Dear Searles, that would be you next. Okay, she might be having some connection issues. We can move on to the next person, which will be our secretary.
Hi, my name's Kavya. I'm the secretary.
And then our chaplain.
So my name's Francisco. I'm the chaplain.
And then social media.
Hi guys, I'm McKenna. I'm the social media chair.
Committee, you're a part of the social media committee. Okay, and then we can pull back up the agenda.
All right.
It's me again. I'm in and out of your meeting. Sorry. Just wanted to clarify if you guys set a date and time to meet for a discussion of your resolution.
We haven't yet.
Okay. And you are going to talk about that, or are you going to send out a email or chat, or how are you going to coordinate your next meeting offline? Because you don't have to necessarily do it via Zoom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
Well, so if we're gonna have this chat, maybe can we just do it through this chat that we're making?
Yes, you can. But is there a date and time that you're looking at so that everyone knows to be aware that you're gonna, or do you just chat off and on all day? And I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so we really just have like this big group chat on Instagram that we chat like pretty much every day with. Like we're all pretty much like really tight and very close.
Okay. Then if that's the way you guys operate, you don't need a certain date or time. You just gonna chat all day or
communicate through that chat.
Okay. Okay. I was just thinking that you might want to have a structured date and time to really hammer things through. Again, if you guys think you can operate and get this resolution done via chat without a real structured meeting, then you can do that.
Yeah, we can.
So, Madam Chair, you decide if you want to at some point have a structured meeting, then I'll let you decide. But we want to make sure that we keep on track and make sure that we have some timelines that, okay, well, if you do this chat thing, then you want to at least have the resolution prepared or part of it or some research done by a certain date and time, so that each piece of it can come together by, I would say, at least the end of March, and then we could have our commission council look it over to make sure that everything is good. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and if you want to come up with a structured date, then you guys can do that at your own leisure.
All right, yeah, sounds good. We can communicate through the chat too, our Instagram chat, if we want a Zoom meeting as well, and we can let you know.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next item?
We're moving on to item G2 under new business, Committee for Social Media.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so Social Media Committee is headed by McKenna. So McKenna, you can take over if you have any announcements.
So hi guys. So basically this is new and it's being implemented to share kind of our accomplishments and what we strive for towards social media, because like, let's face it, this is what's going on now. Like, social media has been here for years, and this is basically the best way to market and get our point across. So we just really hope to really just share like our cause and what we're about, which is this year helping with gun violence in schools.
Also our experiences and all the things that we talk about, the people we have that come and see you guys and, you know, give you guys insight and just useful things with school and just life as well. So that's all a part of it. And we will, if you see McKenna taking pictures and stuff when we have our in-person meetings and documenting things, that's for our social media broadcast, what we're doing with you guys and what you guys are, the experience you guys are having as well.
And then too, you can always, any of you can always put a hashtag out there, hashtag WCCYC, and take pictures of, even while we were in this meeting today, you could have took a screenshot and posted it, and you talked about the book reading. You could, you know, post the book and say a few things about the book or what you learned, or even your vision board. You can post that if you like, or just say, I did a vision board today and we talked about it in our meeting. So we just want to talk about the positive things, and it doesn't have to be a structured event. It could be anything that you got from any of our meetings.
Just one more thing to add. If you guys ever like take pictures or have pictures that you want to put in our social media, you can send them through the Instagram group chat. If you're not in that, you can get your information to I almost said San Francisco. I'm so sorry, Francisco, and he'll put you in there, and you can send them through there, or I can get your number, whatever works best for you.
And then, well, you guys can move on to the next item, and then I'll talk about what I was going to say.
All right. One last thing. We have testing kits. So COVID testing kits. So if anyone needs a testing kit, needs to, you know, for yourself or someone in your family, we do have them. They are free. So just give our office a call and we can get them for you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next item?
We're moving to item H, announcements by members.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
so this is where I will give you guys an announcement I have to make to all of you. As far as the emails I've been sending you guys, it's been kind of hard getting a response back in regards to a headshot for our website. So I was gonna let you guys know who I haven't received a headshot picture from, so that you will know to send it right now while we're on this phone call, and who I have received it from. So I'm gonna tell you the people I have headshots for. I have one for Jaden Walton. I think that's Walton, and then Thomas. I have Francisco's, Hannah's, and Jana's headshot. The rest of you I do not have. So that would be Kirtana, Diera, Kavya, McKenna. You said you were gonna send yours today. Shakari, Paris, Baldwin, Monique, Muhammad, Naima Crenshaw, and Riley Rudolph. Madison McDonald, and Zion. Those are the people's headshots I do not have. So the Wayne Youth 2020 at Gmail, you guys should be receiving emails from that email very frequently. If y'all can send that right over right now, that would be great while we're on this phone call. Just a headshot. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just for our website so that people can put a face to who all is in this program for 2021 to 2022. So if I just called your name, I don't have yours.
All right, yeah, thank you. We'll make sure to send our headshots.
Okay. Sorry, I have
No, you're
just
fine.
one quick thing. Also on this agenda, I wanted to let you guys know where it says next meeting scheduled for Thursday, February 24th. That date is incorrect. As we told you guys earlier when we had the agenda pulled up, the next meeting you guys will have is in person, and it's going to be at the Detroit Historical Museum on February 27th. You have to put that in your calendar now. February 27th from 2 to 5 p.m. And of course, you guys are going to receive emails up to the date, but just so you guys know now, the next meeting date is in person, February 27th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Detroit Historical Museum. So you can go ahead now.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next item?
Before you move on, were there any other announcements by members? Anything you want to say or add, or any thoughts? Anything that any of the members want to say at this point?
I just have one thing. So, in the wake of Oxford and everything that's happened, back when COVID first hit, we lost a very dear friend of ours due to COVID. And so something that my school does is we try to raise bottle caps to recycle into a bench that we then put in our school. So we're gonna try to collect bottle caps to make one for Oxford to send to Oxford. So if you guys want to start collecting, and then in our in-person meetings, give them to me, whatever. If you guys just want to help, it's up to you guys. You don't have to. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
And it could be like any plastic bottle cap, like a plastic water bottle.
Yeah, it can be a Gatorade bottle. It can be a pill bottle. It can be any type of plastic bottle lid, screw top.
Yeah, for sure. We can even promote it on like social media maybe to get.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. Anything helps, because it's such a nice thing to have in our school, to have a reminder of like the person that we lost. So when I heard Oxford was going back to school, of course, I figured them having one to be able to remember their friends like that, I feel like it would be such a nice tribute to them. So I'm just trying to get anybody and everybody to donate caps to get this bench done, because for my friend it took a pretty long time, but we're hoping to get it done sooner.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you, Hannah. Are there any other announcements? Okay. I think we're good. Madam Clerk, can we move to the next item on the agenda?
We're moving to item I, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee. As Nairobi already mentioned, that date is wrong and the correct date is in the chat now. But if anyone has any other matters.
I think we're
If not,
good.
we can move on.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving to item J, public comment. I'm going to request that everyone in the meeting unmute. So if any members of the public want to make a comment, they can. And Madam Chair, I haven't received any emails, so you just have to ask a few times if there's any members of the public that want to make a comment. They can make a comment now.
Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
Is someone talking right now?
I think she accidentally unmuted.
Okay, what I wanted to add with you guys as well, and if you guys could give your opinion while you're unmuted, is it seems as though you guys kind of prefer the in-person meetings. Is that correct? Like you guys actually enjoy it, like the DIA, seeing each other and being able to interact more in person as far as like versus the Zoom meeting where some people could have their camera on and off and you guys aren't really like seeing each other. Like, do you guys actually like the in-person meetings more?
Yeah. I really think that we will enjoy them now that we got each other's like social media, because we are like close. So I feel like it will just be like a really different dynamic once we have our second in-person meeting with each other.
I think I like the second thing. I think like the first kind of meeting, it's obviously you meet new people. That's part of this extracurricular group you step in. But just like you said, I think that we did feel a little more comfortable. I think it's different, like because when you're on a Zoom call, you know, you can't. You can just avoid. You can just be quiet or whatever. You don't have to like really step in. But when you're in person, you're kind of talking. I feel like we get, not that we don't get a lot out of these meetings, but I feel like we can even get more when we're in person, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just kind of second that. I agree with that very much.
I also agree because I feel like we can break off into like groups and we can like discuss things a little deeper than just kind of like, I feel like we almost play mute tag, like, you know, somebody will start talking and then another person will start talking. So I feel like in person it's a lot easier.
Right. Okay, great. Because we're implementing a lot more in-person gatherings for you guys, and we just want to make sure that that's something that you guys are going to enjoy and would like to do. That's why we changed our next meeting to be in person for you guys, so that you're able to interact with each other and able to be more hands-on with YC a little better. So yeah, that's all I wanted to make sure with you guys. We can move on.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so if there's no other public comments, Madam Clerk, can we move to the next item?
We're on item K, adjournment, and just like the minutes, we need a motion to adjourn and someone to second, and then we need to take a vote.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second this motion. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Thank you. All in favor to adjourn the meeting, please say aye.
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 Hi.
All opposed, please say nay. All right. Yeah, so meeting adjourned at 7:50 p.m.
Bye. I hope you guys have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Have a great night, everybody.
Great job.